Hey, this is Tim, licensed loan officer. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about getting started with a DSCR loan. Thank you so much for watching and welcome to my channel. We're going to talk about DSCR loans. And just so you know, DSCR loans is an investment product for investors to buy investment properties. If you're a first-time home buyer, this may not be the video for you. You could check out this video up here. But if you are looking to get into the investment game, looking for information, then maybe this is the video for you and keep watching. Now, I did make another video about DSCR loans and I have got a lot of views and comments. And this is a follow-up video helping you get started. DSCR loans is a great product if you're looking to buy investment products. And this video is going to help you get started. It's going to give you the steps to take so you can be set up for success, buy investment property, be an investor, and make a lot of money. Now, there was a lot of confusion on the last video. I saw a couple of comments about, why you should buy investment products and some questions about FHA. And I want to address those really quick here. Now, the reason I said that if you have not purchased a home before, that it could make sense to use an FHA loan and not a DSCR loan, only because of the money. So a DSCR loan, you're looking at a minimum down payment of 15% up to 25% plus closing costs. So if you never bought a home before, you could easily do a FHA loan as your primary and only put 3.5% down plus closing costs. And then in the future, you could always buy another primary and convert that over to an investment product. And also, getting your first home is very important because that first home can help you with future homes, because when that current home that you own will go up in value, you could take money out of that home and then use that to buy another primary or investment home. So that's why I made that. And if you have more questions about that other video, you can comment on this video or the other video and I'll try to get back with you. So I want to tell you a little bit about what this channel is about. We talk about credit, we talk about income, budgeting, buying homes, building assets, and wealth. I'm also a licensed loan officer. I'm a financial coach as well. So all things finances. If you like that kind of stuff, consider subscribing to this channel. I know there's a lot of new subscribers and I just want to welcome to my channel. I'm glad to have you here. Okay, with all that out the way, nice. I want to get into the presentation in the video about how to get started. Like I said, I'm going to give you step by step. So let's start off with some of the guidelines. And guidelines are basically just the rules. You need to understand the guidelines, when you become a new investor or an experienced investor. Knowing the guidelines is basically the rules of the game, and you need to play by the rules. So for DSCR loans, investors, there's loan amounts as low as $100K to $3.5 million right there. Now, you can get a DSCR loan under $100K, but you have to shop around for that. Generally speaking, lenders make money off of interest. So they really don't like small loan amounts. Bruh. So if you find some homes, that are like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, sometimes you may have to pay cash or get a group of people to help you chip in to get that cash, just buy that home outright. Or there are a few personal loans and other options. But generally speaking, lenders like me or other lenders that do DSCR loans, they want something at least $100,000. They can make exceptions if it's 80, 70, but generally speaking, they want a decent loan amount so they can make some interest. They don't make any money, of $30,000. That's a car loan. So keep that in mind. If you're out looking at investment properties, that you may not be able to get financing if it has a small loan amount. Also with DSCR loans, there's a debt servicing ratio here, and I'm going to explain this to you. So with this one here, if it's under 1%, so this property has very low operating income, they're going to require you to put about 20% down. Now, if it's above 1 of the operating income, then you could put 25% down. But remember, I have seen a few lenders that will require you to put 15% down based on your credit. So the higher your credit is, the more they will trust you with a DSCR loan. Now, most of them say FICO 620 or above, but I'm going to get into that later in this video. 620 is the floor. It's very risky. That's just the minimum. A lot of times with 620, you may not get approved because they may not trust you. And I'll get into that later on. But that is the minimum, 620. A lot of times lenders will say, hey, you can get an FHA loan at 580, but really it's 620 because there's a minimum, but lenders don't feel comfortable lending people with the minimum. And I'm just going to be honest with you, up front with you. So you don't want to be at the minimum because they may put you through hoops or not approve you because there's something that's making you be that low at the minimum. They have available for a purchase, and that's what we're going to talk about, a purchase today. You can do a rate and term, and what a rate and term is that you're not taking any cash out. You're just lowering the rate. Most rate and terms either are shorter term or just lowering the rate and payment. You can also do a cash out refinance, and that's what we're going to talk about today, a cash out refinance. So we're first going to do a purchase, and then we're going to do a cash out refinance, and I'll show you that. The terms are pretty cool. You can do a 30-year fix. A fix is really popular. It's just a fixed rate, fixed payment. Nothing changes for that term. This is kind of cool too. You can do a 40-year fix. 40-year fix, stretch it out, have a little bit lower payment. You can even do interest only. Interest only is usually for short term where you're just rehabbing it. You only want to pay interest. And then with DSCR loans, it's based on the property cash flow. And I'm going to go in more detail. They don't verify income or employment. And it can close in an LLC. Most DSCR companies require you to have a LLC, but some don't. You can estimate short-term rental income allowed. So it's short-term, a little bit long-term. I'll go into that more in detail. This video, like I said, is all about getting ready to do a DSCR loan. Now, if you've never done one before, this is how you get ready. I'm going to give you the secret sauce. The first thing you want to focus on is your credit, okay? Your credit is very important. Now, I did say earlier in this video that most DSCR loan guidelines is 620, but I said with 620, a lot of them won't approve you. It'll be harder, maybe larger down payment. So you really want to shoot for a 660 or 700. Ideally 700. The higher your credit score is, the lower the interest rate will be, the better terms, the easier you can get approved and funding. And then you want to also pay off debt. And when I say debt, I'm mostly talking about credit cards for two reasons. Number one, it's going to give you a higher credit score. And number two, as an investor, if something goes wrong where the repairs or the rehab or the flip costs more money than what you originally agreed for with your DSCR loan, it's best to have that access to that capital and use those credit cards opposed to not having that. Because if you cannot finish the rehab, it's going to mess up everything. So pay off debt. Maybe only have your first mortgage or only have your car payment, but you don't want very much debt because as an investor, it's going to be harder for you to make money when you have that other stuff taking money out. You really want to be bare bone as you can because remember, this is investing. When you start investing, that means you already have your rainy day fund, your down payment. This is not for someone looking to make money. Investing is more of a long term, okay? So you don't want to have a lot of debt. You need to research your market. This is important. You need to know in your market, what purchase price is, what's a good deal for a home, what's the average rent. You need to know your market. If you don't know your market, how do you spot out properties? How do you spot out opportunities? And I'm going to go into detail and give you two examples in this video. You need to have contractors. Now, if you're not doing the work yourself, you need to have contractors. And contractors can be found at Home Depot, Lowe's, any hardware store. They go in and out. There's usually a post board with, you know, the business cards. And it's good to have multiple contractors, okay? And you need to stay on these contractors. They need to help you with your scope of work, tell you how much everything's going to cost, and they need to stay on schedule and finish the project, you know, so you can, you know, make this successful business. Very important here is to have assets. Again, you're going to be looking at 15 to 25% plus closing costs. So 15% down payment or 20% down payment or even 25% down payment plus closing costs. And you're going to need a little bit extra money just in case anything goes wrong, anything's a little bit more expensive. Remember, when you're rehabbing homes, it's like an onion. You keep peeling the onion, you may find up other things. So have extra money and then also have maybe a couple of credit cards. You got to finish this project, okay? And I'll go into it a little bit more. You need to create an LLC. Now, some DSCR loans do not require this, but I recommend having a LLC. You can go to LegalZoom and get one set up for you. There's other services that set up for you. Most of the time, depending on the state, it could be anywhere from $50 to $149 to do it yourself. But I recommend having an LLC. It's very important to have a business, okay? And then you want to get pre-approved. So after you have good credit, after you pay off your debt, you know your market, you have contractors, you have your money to close, it's time to get pre-approved. Now, most pre-approvals for DSCR loans is really simple. You literally log in, they run a soft credit check that doesn't affect your credit. You put in a little bit of information and then you print out your pre-approval. It's really simple. And then you want to find a property. Now, this is very important. Finding a property that has value, and I'll go into detail with that. And you want to find a property that is distressed or a property that needs work. But if you can complete the work, it's worth a lot more. So that's called value, okay? And the way you find value is, you know, your research of knowing your market. And also how you find value is through relationship and connection. So there's some realtors that only do investment property or work with investors. There's Facebook groups. There's wholesalers. And you just got to look online and just, you know, there's Facebook groups. There's a lot of different ways. Craigslist, you want to find some properties. You can even find some properties on Zillow and Realtor.com and the MLS if you know what you're doing. And then you got to do your math. Make it work on paper. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to show you 2 examples on paper. And when you do your math, it takes about 10, 15 minutes. Now you can strike and say, hey, this is the opportunity. I want it. Buy it. So over time, the math becomes easy, but I'm going to explain that. So those are the steps you need to take to be a great investor and make money. A lot of people lose money in real estate because they don't plan or they don't know math. They don't have enough money. They're over leveraged. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. And that might be another video I make. How to lose money. People lose a lot of money. You don't hear about it because they're not out here talking about it. But the people that lose money are usually quiet. And the people that make money you see online. Okay. So let's go over an example here. And hopefully you can see this. I'm going to zoom in on this. So here's a property in my market. And I went online and it's for $119. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. And that's about it. It's a decent home. And let's go up and do some numbers. So after you find a property, do some numbers, okay? And on this example, I'm going to assume that the down payment is 25%, okay? I'm going to assume that. Now, remember, based on your credit and based on the different DSCR loans, lenders, remember, different lenders have different guidelines. So if you shop around a little bit, you might find one with 20% or 15%. Ideally, you want the lowest down payment because that's going to give you more money in your pocket. But I like to do examples at worst case scenario. Okay, so the way it works is you're going to give them 25% and they're going to give you 75% of the loan. That's called loan to value. So if you put in 25%, they put in 75%, okay? They loan you 75%. So if if the purchase price right here is $119,999, times 0.75, because you put 25% in there, it comes to $89,999. Now, just to show you the math, we took 119,999 minus 89, because that's your loan amount, comes up to $30K. So you're going to give them $30K for just your down payment, and then we're going to assume there's some closing costs, title work, maybe some taxes. So all together, you're going to come out of pocket $30,000 plus $30,000 for your down payment plus 5. So that's $35,000. Now you see why it's a little bit expensive to get into the investment game. $35,000 out of your pocket just to buy the home. Now you can. That's why I tell people, if you don't have a home yet, there's first-time home buyer programs where you're not going to come out at $35,000. Okay, and that's why I say if you don't own a home. But again, if you really want to get into the investment game, you don't have a primary, then come up with $35,000. Okay. Now remember, I done my research and I know my market. My average rent in my market in Hazel Park is $1,200 to $1,500. Okay. So to do the math, this is some easy DSCR math right here. I'm going to take the rent of $1,300. So I didn't take the lowest $1,200. I didn't take the highest $1,500. I took $1,300 here. If you can zoom in right there, $1,300. And I'm going to divide it by $89,000 here. And that comes up to this number here, that 1.44. Now, if you go back to here, remember the guidelines here? See these numbers here, the DSCR number? This is over 1%. And you want this number to be as high as possible. 1.44 right here, that 1.44 is a good number. You want that as high as possible, because that means the operating income is coming in. And lenders want that number high as possible. Sometimes it's not as high because of, things are hard to find value like that, but that's a good one. So this would be a good property to move on. Now let's continue with this property here. And I just put the formula here. So DSCR is net operating income, and that's basically rent. That's rent, basically, another word for rent. And then the total debt, that's basically just the loan amount, that's the loan amount. See, this pen has not been working good. I can't, no, you can't even read it. All right, so now we got a principal and interest payment right here of $724. That's the principal and interest. And that's why this number is so high right here, because $724 and you can charge $1,300 in rent. So that's some nice profit. Now, normally you're going to pay that $724 usually for short term until you can rehab the home, fix it up a little bit. But this is basically the math. You would take the rent and then divide it by the loan amount after you subtract your down payment. And then you want this number to be as high as possible right there. Now, I'm going to show you another example now. Let's keep going with this one. So same property. Now we're going to assume that it's $89,000, but it needs $20K in work. So $20K in work. So let's just say here you're going to do the siding. You're going to, put a handrail here. And you're just going to, just fix this property up. Give it some love, You're going to fix it up. So if it needs $20K in rehab, now you add $89,000 plus $20K. Now you have a loan amount of $109. See, $109, that's the new loan amount. And now there's something called ARV. Can you see that? ARV right here? ARV right there. So with ARV, that stands for after repair value. Now, how do you determine after repair value? You look at similar homes than the home you're buying. So this home right here is going for $119, but let's say I find another home in the area and you look at similar homes. So you find other homes in the area that has 3-bedroom, 1 bath that are worth more than $119. And the reason why they're worth more, they probably have updated siding. They probably have a nicer yard. They probably have maybe a nicer driveway or been well maintained. But the goal is to get this home looking like those other homes so it can appraise for that amount. And I know the market. I've looked at similar homes. And if I can put $20,000 into this home for this example, it will be worth $160,000. So after you do the work with the $20,000, and the way it worked with the $20,000 is they give you something called a draw. A draw means they have the $20,000 in an escrow account. You submit a scope of work, so you let them know what you're going to do to the home, and usually the contractor helps you with that scope of work. You guys walk the property. You tell them you want this done, that done, the siding and all that stuff done, and you make sure it works. So it's worth $160,000, and now you're going to do a cash out refinance DSCR. And the same thing, all cash out refinance are usually going to be 75% loan to value. So what that means is that you're going to have a new loan amount of $120,000, and your original loan amount was $109,000. Hope you're following me here. If you take $109,000 minus $120,000, that's $11,000 cash out. So you're going to get $11,000 back from your initial investment. So your initial investment was $35,000, and you did all the work, and then you did a cash out refinance. You took out $11,000, and you totally invested $24,000 at the end of the day. And that's how it works. That's a DSCR loan. You take that $11,000, you put that with some more money, or you wait a little bit and collect rent, and you repeat the process. And these lenders will trust you once you do one or two more. They start trusting your numbers. When you're new, they double check a little bit more. They ask more questions because you're a new investor. But after you have a proven record and you want to build a relationship with your DSCR loans, because they can help you if you get in a jam a little bit, or they can have different guidelines. And a little nitbit, DSCR loans are non-QM, like non-qualified mortgages. And what that means is that they don't have to conform to like FHA or conventional or VA. They can make their own rules up, their own guidelines. So, you can negotiate with them a little bit. They have guidelines, but remember, guidelines are just there. You can talk to them. They don't have to conform like a conventional mortgage, these other products. So I want to give you another example here. Now, this is a cool example here. And let's look at this property. Now, this property is for $89,000. I know you may be laughing at me, but in Michigan, in my market, you can find some cheap homes. You can find even cheaper homes in Detroit. So $89,000. Now, this one might be a little hard to get financing for because it's under $100,000. But remember, you can shop around. You can find a lender that will do it because it's very close. Okay, so we find something for $89,000, and we're probably gonna, fix this here, do some fixing here, and we're gonna just rehab this whole home and get it looking nice. Okay, all right. So we're gonna assume that it needs another $20,000 of work. Now, this math works for any property. Now, initially, when you're just looking at a property online, you're just estimating how much work it could need. It could need a little bit less or a little bit more. But eventually, you're going to call your realtor and your contractor. You're going to go look at that property for 20 minutes and determine if you're going to put an offer in and buy it. So for the example, we're going to say it needs $20,000 of work. And we're going to say that we're going to first do $89,000 times your 25% down payment is $22,000. And then we're going to budget for closing costs and title and stuff, $3,000. So your initial investment to buy this $89,000 home will be $25,360. And we're going to have a loan amount of $67,000. Plus, they're going to give you your $20,000 for repairs and rehab. And it comes to $87,080. And you have a principal and interest payment of $621. That's what you're going to have, okay? And I'm not going to break down the whole math again because we know the average rent in this area is $1,200 to $1,500, and the principal interest is only $621. So we're in good shape there. And let's continue the example. So we know the market. The market says once we do all this work here on this property, it's going to be worth, after repair value, it's going to be worth $160. And then for a cash out DSCR loan, it's loan to value of 0.75. And then it's going to be a new loan amount of $120. And then this is the cool part. This is the cool part. So you're going to get $33,000 cash out because the home's worth $160 because you did the work. It's up to code. And you took out $33,000. Now, remember you initially invested $25,000 and now you got it up to code. Now you're going to get the pocket $8,000. It's the pocket $8,000. So the cheaper you find a home and the better the area and research, you can make money. So you invested $25,000 and then you put $20,000 into it. It's worth $160 now. You got your $25,000 back plus $8,000 to buy another property. You see how that works when you do the numbers? So this will be a great property to look at, to want to check out, to potentially buy if I can get it up to code and make it worth $160, make it look nice. And I just want to recap one more time some of the things you want to do to get ready. You want to make sure you have good credit, at least 660 or 700. Pay off debt, pay off credit cards, any loans. You're an investor now. You need to have more money coming in. You can't be paying all those bills. Know your market. Know the average rent. Know what the average purchase price. If that area is too expensive, find another area. Find areas where people like to rent or areas where you can fix and flip that have a high value. Have some contractors, people that can walk the home with you, tell me how much everything's gonna cost, or you can do the work. Have some assets. Like I said, you're gonna need money to close. Have a LLC, get pre-approved, and then spend a good time finding properties and doing math. And once you get good at this, you can do math and say, I want it. Let me call you right back. I'm gonna do some math and call you back. I hope this helps, and I gave you a lot of information for free. You didn't have to buy a course or anything, but I want you to take it a step further. I have some homework for you. In your area, find a property and do some math. And you can do it very easy with Google. Just Google for that area, what's the average rent, write that down, go on Zillow or Realtor and look at some properties and do the math. That way, when realtors are sending you properties or you're looking at properties online, look at the pictures, you can get a real good idea if the numbers work before you waste your time and go out and see the property, before you call your contractor. Make it work on paper. So this video is a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and end it now. But remember, if you have questions, contact me. Comment below. If you like this video and like this content, consider subscribing to this channel. I'd love to have you here. Thanks so much. I'll see you again on the next video.